Hey, what it do, y'all? It's your boy E2 Blue coming back at you again. And it's Sabado. It's Saturday, guys. It's Saturday, but I guess it doesn't matter. I miss people. I really do. I miss y'all, the fans. I miss football. Please come back, football. I miss everything right now. I just miss it all. It's like, nah, let me stop. But seriously though, like, you never realize how much we take for granted, guys. You know, dealing with the pandemic and stuff. It's like, with stuff being closed, so many places went out of business. Like, those of you that know the buffet Golden Corral, they just said they went out of business. I'm like, damn. I used to mess up some Golden Corral back in the day. And see, when I was in college or whatever, when I was in the marching band, we used to always, you know, every time we went on a away trip or whatever, especially far, we would, you know, go to Golden Corral. That was the spot, you know what I mean? But, you know, that was the college tip right there. But they went out of business. Neiman Marcus went out of business. Like, it's a lot of companies going down, y'all. And I just want to say before I even talk about the football right now, support these businesses, guys. Not you know, black owned, whatever owned. It don't matter. Just support these businesses, man, because I'm telling you, like, the restaurants and clothing places, shoe companies, stuff that you enjoy personally, support it now, because, you know, if you don't, by the time everything opens up and if things do ever get back to normal, they won't be there. So, you know, we got to support each other, not just business wise, but period, culturally. You know what I mean? It's so much damn hate in this world. It's like people hating on each other, not just other races, but even same races. Like, people, it's like internal racism, and it's crazy. Like, you know, stop hating on each other. If you see somebody doing well and you're not doing as well, maybe that person tried a little harder than what you did. Then that means that you need to step your game up and get better as well. So I look at it when I see my homies or people that I'm cool with doing good, I don't hate on it. I look at it like this: that brother deserved that, or that sister deserved that. You know what I mean? Like, they work hard for what they got, and that's what it is, you know. But I ain't gonna preach to y'all. I just wanted to, I just had that on my heart. It was on my soul. I just felt like I needed to speak on that for a second. But as we talk about football, the Dallas Cowboys, our undrafted free agents in this particular series that I'm going through this off season, because again, I'm tired of talking about the Dak Prescott stuff. I'm tired of talking about this, that, and third, because there's nothing else to talk about outside of, we just miss football. Now, we do know that training camps is going to be coming soon. I think they're letting the players in, like I said yesterday in my last video, maybe like the 15th or something like that, the day that Dak Prescott's supposed to sign his contract, supposedly. They'll let the people in or whatever, and social distance. I don't know how they're going to do that, because, you know, these coaches want to lay hands on these players. They be like, look here, you're here, it's time for football. Now, if you ever played organized football, you already know the grind of a mini camp, an off-season program, just practice in general. Like, it's hardcore. Coaches yelling and cursing at you. It ain't for the sensitive, I'm telling you. And plug your kids' ears, because there's gonna be a lot of cursing out there. So, you know, that's just how it is. It's football. It's a man's sport. But I love to see women that play football too. You know, I'm not a sexist individual. I'm actually, you know, I was raised around mostly women, so like I'm more in tune to the women than some other men, and I'm proud of our women and how much strides that they come through. You know, getting their freedom to vote during the suffrage and things of that nature. So yeah, so, you know, I'm all for equal for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just wish that other people thought the same way I did, but unfortunately, the world we live in is not perfect, and we just got to deal with it as we come. But I tell you one thing, I love to see women do great things in this world. I love it. I'm all for it. You know, if you want to play football, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a daughter. I got a son, but, you know, I know my son, you know, and, you know, with things that are in this world and him being a young black man, I'm going to have to show him, and I can't sugarcoat nothing to him, because this world ain't right, and, you know, hopefully we can fix it. But, you know, I really feel sorry for his generation, because they're growing up in some Some crazy times. Crazy. But anywho, the guy that I have talking about today, it's another wide receiver like yesterday. Yesterday, you go back and look at that video, Stephen Guidry. He was a wide receiver. The Cowboys did get they signed a lot of undrafted wide receivers. So I think that what their plan was with that, they're trying to figure out what guys they're going to have. We know who the top three are, right? We know Amari Cooper, we know Michael Gallup, and we know CeeDee Lamb, right? So, there's talks about making Amari Cooper, put him in the slot sometimes. I think that if you switch all three of these guys up, if CeeDee Lamb learns his playbook really well and he can play all three spots, the things that you can do with all three of those top wide receivers, because Gallup and Amari know the playbook, so they can play all three spots. You get Lamb to come in here. If he can learn on the fly and learn like how they know, oh yeah, you could do some things with that. Now, we don't know who the 4th, 5th, 6th receiver. I'm pretty sure they're going to keep 6 receivers because I think the roster is going to be up to 55 this year, so they got that extra roster spot. And I think you have to carry 10 offensive linemen too. So I think Brandon Knight might get a spot because of that. But anywho, we'll talk about that another time with the offensive linemen. But yeah, this guy, Aaron Parker, wide receiver. He's a slot receiver out of Rhode Island. He stands at 6'2", 209 pounds. If you notice the guys that they got in free agency, they're all over 6 foot. They all have ability, but the reason why they weren't drafted because they have some key things that scouts looked at and they said, look, you're not NFL ready. So they didn't have a draft grade on them. Now, which makes sense. If you think about it, and some people don't think about it like this, but people ask me, well, how does a player get drafted? And I get questions by a lot of people that don't know much about football, and I'm here to educate as much as I can. And I tell people all the time, with the draft, how scouts look at it is this. Your draft stock and how you are, it's not just your tangibles, but it's if they look at you and see, okay, could this guy start in an NFL game? Could he unseat a veteran at some point in time? Does he have what it takes to, even if he's not ready day one, first couple of weeks of the season, could he do it? And that's how your draft grade really is set up. Not just how fast you are or how high you could jump or how great your athleticism is at that particular position. That matters too a lot. It weighs heavily as well. But they also look at, are you NFL ready? And all of these guys that I'm talking about in the undrafted free agent, they're obviously not NFL ready. But they have intangibles. They have great things. And in most situations, a lot of their bad points are coachable. You know what I mean? Because in college, you're not playing against top tier talent anyway. So they're not pushed to their limits. A lot of guys coming out of school aren't great route runners. You look at Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant was a dynamic receiver, but he wasn't a great route runner. But he had all these other intangibles. He can high point the ball. He can bend and contort his body in midair and in areas that the DB can't get the ball. And so that's what made him special. And Aaron Parker, he's kind of similar to this, and I'll explain that in a second. So like I said, he's 6'2", 209. Some awards of recognition for him. He was the CAA first team all conference. He was on the all New England team because, Rhode Island is up in that area. And he was an NFL Combine invite. Even though he wasn't drafted, he was at the Combine. Now, good things about him. He's a natural ball catcher that finds his way open when he needs to. More often than not. He had a lot of targets at Rhode Island, which is the reason why he was open. So when you're open, your receiver is going to come to you because naturally you're open. That's just common sense. He's a native of Maryland, and I live in Maryland. So, I'm not going to say he's going to be my pet cat, but I'm definitely going to look out for him because he is a native of Maryland, and I like the local talent. I really do. Now, unfortunately, Chase Young got drafted by the Redskins. Chase Young actually lives up the street. Well, I just moved, but he lived up the street from me. So, in the Upper Marlboro area. So he's a local talent as well. I like him, but he just went to the enemy, and I don't like it. So he's the enemy now. This guy, like Dez Bryant, he has the ability to high point the ball, and he can turn a bad throw into a spectacular one, almost like a Odell Beckham-ish type of receiver. He likes contact with the DBs. He he'll purposely like bump the guy and be like, hey, what's up? Give me contact. And he, like I said, when he jumps in the air, he can lean and bend his body to catch the ball where the DB can't catch it, and kind of embarrass the DB a little bit. That's what he lives off of. But even when he's covered, he can do that, and that's one thing that Des Bryant was good at too. In his senior year, he led the CAA in receptions, which was 81 of them. He had receiving yards. He had 1,224 yards, and he totaled 9 touchdowns. So pretty good for that division where he's at up there in Rhode Island. Now, it's not top tier talent, but it's something. And, it was enough for the Cowboys to look at him and be like, you know what? We'll try him out, see what he does with the team. We'll see. Now, some of the project things that he needs to work on. Although he does make spectacular catches, his hands are not reliable enough. And that's the knock on him. So one of the reasons why he wasn't drafted. If you're a wide receiver and you get drafted, or if you're trying to get drafted and your hands are not reliable, that automatically drops you tremendously in the draft process. And in his situation, out of it completely. He will sometimes body catch like Terrence Williams did. But me personally, I never thought anything was wrong with body catching. But it's if you rely on it too much, especially when you're covered and the guy is smothering you, you can't body catch it. You have to rely on your hands. You have to high point that ball. So sometimes he doesn't have the confidence enough to high point the ball when he needs to high point the ball. He can, but sometimes, like I said, with Stephen Guidry, same thing with Aaron Parker. Both of them, they lose confidence and lose focus sometimes. And that's quite, that's not rare for young receivers. That's something that you learn, as you get better coaching and things of that nature, and you go to a top tier level and you realize you done got embarrassed enough by the DB, and you're like, you know what? I got to play better, and I got to stretch these arms out and catch this damn ball, period. And that's pretty much where we're at with that one. He did run the 40-yard dash in the combine because, like I said, he was invited. He ran a 4.57, which is not great for a receiver, a top-tier receiver, but he's not a top-tier receiver. So, but even though he ran a 4.5, I mean, that's still fast to a normal person. Because even when I played football, I never ran a 4.5. I was like in the 4.7 range. So it is what it is. He's a player that has speed, but he definitely struggles taking it to another level. And that taking it to another level is the NFL. And you have to be able to take it to the next level. Because again, the NFL is the top of the top. It is the league. So that is what it is. Now, again, just like with Stephen Guidry, Aaron Parker, he definitely has the intangibles to do great, but he definitely needs some work. And like I said, if a wide receivers coach can get him straight, he might do some things. So look out for him in training camp. So all of these undrafted free agents I'm talking about, I know some of you guys know some of them and have heard of them, and maybe one might be your pet cat. You never know. But there's always a couple of undrafted guys that slip through the system and make the roster. And when your guy that you're gunning for makes the team, it just makes you feel even more better about your team. But these guys try hard to make it to the NFL, and it's not easy. So hopefully they take their advantage of their opportunities and maximize that. Because again, when the lights come on, that's when you're gonna really be tested. But that's all I got for today, guys. Let me know what y'all think about the young Aaron Parker, the wide receiver out of Rhode Island. In the meantime, in between time, y'all, it's your boy E2 Blue. Always keeping it real. Talk to y'all soon.